Hi everybody. This project is going to be on sport venue accessibility. It's been done by myself, Jenna Georgopoulos, and also Blair Norland. So I'm going to be doing the first half of this presentation, and then Blair is going to take over and do a second video and do the second half. So basically, we're going to be talking about the attitudes and barriers and policies regarding individuals who require modified entry and seating into different sporting locales. So the venues that we are going to be covering are the Air Canada Centre, the Rogers Centre, BMO Field, Milton Memorial Arena, and also Peterborough Memorial Centre. We chose these venues because they offer a wide range of sports that people spectate and at different levels of athletics so that people watching from a range of local to minor leagues can, and finally, professional sports stages. So the topics that we're going to be discussing about each venue are going to be their accessibility policies. So under that heading would be training of accessibility laws of employees, information and communications, and employment. Then we'll be discussing accessible seating locations, accessible tickets, assistive devices, parking, pickup and drop off, and also the use of service animals in these venues. So the first one I'm going to be talking about is the Air Canada Centre. So the accessibility policies are pretty standard amongst all of the big major venues. So in accordance with the Accessibility for Ontario Accessibility Act, the AODA, Air Canada Centre is committed to improving access and opportunities for people with disabilities by identifying, removing, and preventing barriers that might interfere with their ability to make full use of their facility. The Air Canada Centre is dedicated to providing unimaginable fan experiences to its customers. In doing so, we endeavor to service every fan in a manner that reflects the principles of dignity, independence, integration, and equal opportunity. Our commitment is to provide all fans, including those living with disabilities, the same experience. So this is also adding on to their accessibility policy. So the Air Canada Centre will provide training to all employees and others who deal with our fans, as well as those who are involved in development of corporate policies, practices, and procedures. Air Canada Centre will also ensure that the staff of all third parties operating within our venue have received training on serving our fans with disabilities. Training will cover the following. So they will be talking about the purposes of the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act. They will also learn how to interact and communicate with fans with various types of disabilities, how to interact with fans with disabilities that use assistive devices or require assistance of any service animal or support person, the location of our assistive devices and persons who know how to use them, what to do if a fan with a disability is having difficulty accessing our goods or services, Air Canada Centre's policies, practices, and procedures relating to customer service standard. Those involved in policy development will receive additional training about providing goods or services to the public and third parties. This is basically the end of the accessibility training. This training will be done as a part of our preseason training program each year for all staff members that join our team. After this point, this training will be provided within their new hiring training class. Ongoing training will be provided concerning any changes to Air Canada Centre's policies, practices, and procedures. So in regards to Air Canada Centre's information and communication, they say that we will communicate with fans with disabilities in ways that take their disability into account. We will train our people on how to interact and communicate with people with various types of disabilities. So now we're going to talk about the Air Canada Centre's accessible seating. So the ACC does actually have quite a bit of accessible seating. It is done by the Air Canada Centre committing to providing an exceptional experience for all fans and is pleased to offer accessible seating through the venue. Accessible seating sections are barrier-free and the features are movable around and removable. So seating can accommodate wheelchairs. An accessible section can indicate an A following the section number. So as it says in the example right about here, is that for the section 105, if it has an A at the end, that means there is accessible seating in that area. To do so, you can buy the tickets on Ticketmaster or call that number that's highlighted in red. So this is a map of the first level, so the 100s level of the ACC. So it says that there's accessible seating in 116A and 106. So those are located right around here where you see that accessible picture, and then also down here. And those are pretty good seats from where I've been around that area before. On the 300s level, there's also accessible seating in 319A, 309A, and 314A/315. So those are also two corner areas as well, but then there's also a center ice right here, which I thought was pretty sweet. And now for accessible tickets. Accessible tickets can be purchased, like I mentioned, through Ticketmaster or by calling that phone number as well. Now to discuss parking, pickup, and drop-off. So the ACC does have an underground parking for hockey and basketball games. Of course, again, you have to call ahead to kind of reserve the spot and have your accessible sticker as well to show them. So when booking the accessible parking, please note the following. So the fans must have their tickets in hand when entering the ACC parking garage. Underground parking for the ACC is $30 each for the event. Parking garage will open 1 hour prior to the event, and that is the height of the parking garage, and they must display, like I said, the permit to obtain their reserved space. So the ACC does allow service animals, which is really nice. And there also is assistive devices for hearing and also breathing. These venues welcome fans with disabilities and allow them to use their own personal assistive devices. Air Canada Centre also offers assistive learning devices and wheelchair escorts that will inform their fans and their availability or any disruption of service. Any fans needing an oxygen tank may bring them into the venues with them. However, most venues will ask that they notify the service team ahead of time so they can determine if the current seats are best accommodation for their needs. So this is just the AODA implemented training for across the board for all of these venues. It's just all condensed into one big slide to show that it goes with everything. So we also looked into employees with exceptionalities. So as far as hiring employees with exceptionalities, there's not any information that we could find online about employees with their exceptionalities. Each facility has employed currently or how many they wish to in the future. We're hoping that this information was readily available to have popular destination like some of these venues as an inclusive place to work and would be great, positive, progressive environment to be employed at. So now talking about the Rogers Centre, it's basically saying the exact same thing for their policy, except the Rogers Centre's name is in front of it. So the Rogers Centre also does provide accessible seating locations. So Rogers Centre accessible seating areas are located at the top of the standard seating sections. Chairs are provided for companions or who do not require a wheelchair spot. The following are accessible seating sections for Rogers Centre. So I will show you the picture next. So it says right here where they are. So there's 100 level, there's some space there, some more outfield and more outfield. So you can be super far or close to home plate as you wish. So Rogers Centre's accessible tickets are also able to be ordered by phone or online. You can also get them at the Gate 9 box office at the Rogers Centre as well. So accessible seats are subject to same on-sale schedules and tickets available as standard seating and are sold on first-come, first-served basis. Telecommunication devices for the deaf, so TDDs, as teletypewriter telephones allow persons of hearing impairments to communicate by typing messages. So all this stuff is super helpful, and I think it's really awesome that they have these. TTY telephones are available at Rogers Centre at the guest services locations in the section 135 and section 508 as well. So parking, pickup, and drop-off is almost the same as the ACC as well. There are a limited number of access parkings. Space available and reserved by calling Rogers Centre by this number here, and bookings can be made 3 weeks prior to the applicable day. Service animals are also welcomed at the Rogers Centre and Toronto Blue Jays events. Guests who are accompanied by service animals must retain control of them and should keep on a leash and harness at all times within the stadium. For guests with service animals wishing to sit in standard seats, aisle seats are recommended. So that is the end of my part of the presentation. I will toss on over to Blair now. Thanks for listening.